Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only Anime Legends, and yeah guys, today I am back with the next part of what if Naruto was neglected by his family and had the powers of Shadow Monarch. So yeah guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the previous part of this series. If you guys have not seen it, please guys check it out, you guys will definitely like it. And yeah guys, before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys. If you guys are new to the channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so, it would be really helpful to me. And yeah guys, I would like to tell you guys about my new TikTok account. I have uploaded some videos on this account and have gained some views. If you guys were to watch these videos and follow me on TikTok, it would be really appreciated as it would be really helpful to me. And yeah guys, recently I have uploaded some shorts and a small animated video on this account as well. If you guys were to watch it, these are actually pretty fun if you were to see it, and give me in the comment section some ideas about the new story and things like that. These are actually animated properly, so these are pretty fun. So if you guys have some new ideas about this field, it would be really helpful to me, as I would really appreciate that. So please guys, tell me in the comment section about some new ideas in this category as well. So without wasting any more of your time, let us start the video. So, last time we left off, as we saw that Naruto has already entered into the realm where the body of the dragon monarch was previously held, as Naruto was able to destroy the remnants of the dragons that were sealed away in the small dimension, as afterward, Naruto simply absorbed the power of the dragon monarch, as all the dragons were finally dead, as Naruto simply absorbed its power and decided to put all of these dragons in his new army. As afterward, Naruto decided to pay a visit to Orochimaru. After all, Orochimaru was the only person in the whole of the shinobi world who knew about his identity and some of his powers. After all, Orochimaru once tried to enter into the Mist Village, but he was beaten up pretty badly, but he was able to escape. But Naruto decided to finally take him under his command. After all, Orochimaru, one of the few scientists in the shinobi world that are actually pretty powerful. So Naruto decided to make him his subject, as afterward Naruto simply destroyed the cave of the snakes and make them his subjects as well. Even though they are a lot weaker than the dragons, but they are simply pets in his eyes, it doesn't actually matter. And now Naruto finally found the location of the last monarch sealing place that was present in Konoha, in the forest of that, the beast monarch. As Naruto finally decided to pay a visit to Konoha, after all, his plans are already completed. It was time for the final step to take place. After all, Naruto is not exactly interested in the bijus. At the moment, he's collecting the powers of all the monarchs and all across the shinobi world, all the previous powerful shinobis that were buried in the hidden villages, and Naruto has already gained control over all of them. And now it was time for the final step to take place. As Naruto finally arrived in Konoha, within Konoha, when Minato and Kushina realized that Naruto has finally come back, they were in utter shock, as Kushina was happy and regretful at the same time. So they finally summoned Naruto, as Menma and Mito were not exactly happy about it. In this time, Menma had already gotten pretty powerful thanks to him being the reincarnation of Ashura Chakra, as he was getting stronger and stronger, already surpassing Mito. While on the other hand, Sasuke has already gotten a lot powerful as well, even catching up to Menma. So they were a team. While on the other hand, Naruto simply told them that he do not actually care about them, and if they really want him to come back, then if Menma and Mito were to defeat him, then Naruto would return to Konoha. Otherwise, he will remain back in the Mist Village and do whatever he wants to do, as both Minato and Kushina simply nodded at that. So yeah guys, that was the last part of the series. So if you guys have not seen it, please guys check it out, you guys will definitely like it. So without wasting any more of your time, let us start the story. The news spread like wildfire across the upper echelon of Konoha that the firstborn of the Hokage is back, as Minato was summoned in a council meeting. As Minato as well as Kushina finally arrived in the council meeting, along them the clan heads as well as the elder council was also present. The third Hokage looked towards Minato as Minato decided to take his seat as the Hokage. Alright, what is this about? I thought we already had the meeting about the Chunin exam. As you can say, before anyone can say anything, Shimura Danzo spoke up. Lord Hokage, we are here to talk about the missing ninja, your first son, Naruto Namikaze. As Minato looked towards Danzo with anger in his eyes, but before he can say anything, Kushina spoke up. What is the meaning of this, Danzo? How dare you call him a missing ninja? He was not even a shinobi. As Danzo looked towards her, Kushina. It doesn't matter if he is not a shinobi, but he's a part of a clan, and if he were to run away, it is your responsibility as the clan head to punish him. So, we are here to ask you what punishment are you gonna give him? I propose that you hand him over to me in the route. I will train him well and make him more obedient. It would be even better for your own clan. As Danzo gave a smug look to Kushina, as Kushina was about to attack him, but Minato spoke up. Enough, that is enough, everyone. As he looked towards Danzo, Danzo, that is all. If that is all you have to do, say, then you can go back. After all, if this meeting is truly about this matter, then this is a clan matter, and you do not have the power to interfere. As Danzo scoffed at that, he's a part of a clan, but he's also the part of Konoha. Now he has the headband of Mist Village. So, how do you propose that we punish him? As he looked towards all the clan heads, as they look towards each other. After all, even if someone say that they are not a part of, they are not shinobi before they ran away. Well, if they are a civilian, then no one will say anything. But if they are a part of a clan, just think about it. If Hyuga members say that we are not shinobi, so we want to leave Konoha, or if Uchiha members were to say that we are just leaving, then how will this whole thing will even work? After all, these clans have Kekigenkais or techniques, as Minato knew that they are just taking advantage. After all, neither the Uzumaki nor the Namikaze family have any Kekigenkais, so it is perfectly reasonable for these members to actually leave, but they are now making things difficult for him. As Tadokage spoke up, alright Danzo, that is all. As he looked towards Minato, well Minato, since he has returned, what are your plans for him? If he were to remain in Konoha, then we can make some concessions. As Tadokage looked towards Minato, giving him a look as Minato grated his teeth. Honestly, many people believe that Tadokage is on the side of Minato, but only Minato knows that how hard it is for him to be the fourth Hokage. He is a civilian-born shinobi, and he do not have his own power base in Konoha. Most of his support actually came from the third Hokage, but that also came with chains on his power. He cannot practice the full power of the Hokage because of the presence of the third, and now third is actually telling him to make concessions to the Elder Council and hand over some of the power of Konoha to him. As Minato gritted his teeth, alright, I will think about it. As after saying that, he simply gave a look to the third, as third simply smiled at that, giving a signal to the Danzo and the other two elders who had a smug look on their faces. And after that, they simply dismissed the council. Most of the people knew that this whole council meeting was there only to pressure Minato to hand over some of the power. Honestly, they do not care about the son of the Hokage whatsoever. While, on the other hand, Naruto was finally sitting in his room as he was meditating, controlling his powers, as a white Zetsu appeared from the ground. Did you find the location? As Naruto spoke up, as white Zetsu simply nodded at that. Yes, my lord, we have finally found the location of the seal. As Naruto smirked at that, finally, it was time for the final monarch, the beast monarch, to become a part of him. As Naruto smirked at that, as tomorrow is gonna be the first part of the Chunin exam. It is also the day when they're gonna enter into the next part, the so-called forest of death thing. As Naruto smirk at that, the other Kages has already arrived in Konoha as Minato welcomed all of the other Kages, even though the third Hokage simply tag along shamelessly. But there was little Minato could actually do about it, as third Hokage had demanded that Minato let him take care of the whole talk between the other Kages and Konoha to him. It was just that third Hokage wanted to show to the other villages that even if Minato is the Hokage, the true power still remains with the third Hokage, as Minato was not exactly happy about it. Even the other things he had to ask the third Hokage as, but the third Hokage was simply going on his own pace, as Minato was truly angry about this whole situation. But there was little he could do about it. Finally, it was time for the first part of the Chunin exams to begin, as all the other Kages were sitting in a council chamber. In front of them was a screen where their shinobis were finally doing the written part. As Ibiki Morino simply explained the rules. Alright, you guys have to answer these questions. So your time begins now. After that, Naruto simply looked towards the paper and simply answered the questions. After all, he was an ancient being and his knowledge is no less, as these questions were truly nothing to him. After all the people he had revived, their memories, their powers all become a part of him. They are mere extension of his will and his power, so their knowledge also belongs to him, and these questions are truly nothing to him. As Naruto simply ended them and looked around, he could feel the presence of many other Jinchurikis in Konoha. Naruto had little interest in these chakra beings. After all, his true power system is not chakra, even though after merging with chakra, his powers has actually increased. They have mutated, and Naruto was wondering if he can increase his powers even further. But for that plan has to wait before he can absorb the last remnant power of the beast monarch. As Naruto smirked at that, as Naruto closes his eyes, and finally the one-tailed Gaara, the two-tailed Yujito, and finally the seven-tailed Fu were participating in this Chunin exam, but the four-tail and the five-tail and the eight-tail are also present in Konoha. Not to mention the presence of the nine-tailed two halves is also present in Konoha. As Naruto smirked at that, it seemed that only the three-tail and the six-tail are actually missing. Well, Naruto has already gained control over both of these Bijus and absorbed their power, especially that six-tailed guy. He ran pretty quickly, but in the end of the day, Naruto was able to catch up to him and control his power for himself. As Naruto opened his eyes, finally Ibiki explained about the 10th question. As Naruto didn't even bother to think about it. After all, there are many memories of the Chunin exam criteria in his mind. So Naruto truly did not take it seriously, and finally it ended as Ibiki spoke up. Alright, our next plan is gonna be. But before he can complete his sentence, as Anko finally arrived and gave her entry and explained about the next part. Alright, Gakis, now follow me to the forest of death. After saying that, she disappeared, and most of the shinobis looked towards each other. These are the elites, the future of the five nations, and they do not fear nor Ibike, not even Anko. So they also disappeared in Sunshine, as Naruto also disappeared looking towards Menma and Mito, but there was another pesky guy who was glaring towards him all the time. It seemed that he was some kind of fanboy. As Naruto looked toward that specific direction, as it was none other than Uchiha Sasuke. In all his anger and arrogance, he was glaring towards Naruto. As Naruto looked Naruk towards Mito, it seemed that there was something going on between both of them, but not to simply scoff at that. He do not care about a mere Uchiha. He could feel the presence of the other half of the sage's power. It seemed that over the era of reincarnation, this chakra bit inside of both Menma and Sasuke has weakened a lot. They are nowhere near the level of Ashura and Indra. But it doesn't matter, even if their father, the sage of the sixth path, were to come back to life, Naruto would not even give him a second look before killing him, as Naruto simply gave a smirk to Sasuke and disappeared from there, as Sasuke gritted his teeth but decided to follow nonetheless. After all, they have to get to the training ground 44, and finally they arrive. As Naruto finally arrived in front of the training ground, Naruto could already feel the presence of the seal. After all, the White Zetsu was also extension of his power. As Naruto smirked at that, the White Zetsu has already cleared the area where the power of the Beast Monarch was present. As Anko explained the whole situation about the test and finally gave a signal, as the other special Jonins and Chunin simply nodded at that and opened the gates of the forest of death, as Naruto simply entered, as well as his other so-called teammates who are nothing more than Naruto summons, as Naruto simply gave a signal to both of them, who simply nodded and disappeared as Naruto rushed in the direction of the beast monarch, while on the other hand another person was looking toward the direction of Naruto. This was none other than Gara of the desert inside of Gara's mind. Kill him now, Gara. You cannot let him become stronger. As this person was none other than Shikaku of the desert. Shikaku was one of the most intelligent tail beasts. Do not think about his yelling and all that. In reality, he was one of the most intelligent tail beasts. He had the most less power across all the bijus, but that was compensated by the sage by giving him the most intelligent. After all, he was able to create his own Winchotsus. and other jutsus as well. So he was able to recognize Naruto's aura even if he was not exactly the same person. But this guy has the power of that monster. He still remembers the day when how easily they were simply destroyed. He was almost eaten away. Half of his power was eaten away by that guy. He already had one tail worth of power, but half of it was taken away by him, and he was so angry about it, and he could feel it, the presence of his own power, as well as the power of that being inside of this boy. So he was telling Gara to kill him as soon as possible. If this guy were to be able to grow up once again, then this whole shinobi world will truly be over. As Gara gritted his teeth over the years, the relationship between Gara and Chicago has gotten a little bit better, but he was mostly influenced by Shikaku, and his siblings and parents do not care about it. So Gara started to listen more and more to Shikaku, and now Shikaku was telling him to kill Naruto, and he has to obey to that as Gara rushed in the direction of Naruto, as both Temari and Kankuro were a bit confused about this whole situation. After all, they do not know what is happening to Gara. He is so dangerous. They do not wanted to associate with Gara too much, but they are part of a team and they have to follow Gara as Gara rush in the direction of Naruto, while on the other hand, Naruto has already arrived in the sealing place where the final monarch was sealed away. As Naruto smirked at that, he could feel the power of his own kind inside of the seal. The other parts of the monarch power which he has absorbed was yelling to him to absorb this power. As Naruto believed that as long as the final part of the monarch's power were to be absorbed by him, something truly magnificent, something truly great will happen to his power. His power will not only increase, no, it will evolve into something new, something more powerful, something more ancient. As Naruto could always tell that his power and the other power and the power of other monarchs was always connected somehow, and now as long as Naruto were to absorb this final power, Naruto will truly achieve that power once again. As Naruto was about to touch the seal, suddenly sand started to appear around Naruto and trying to engulf him. As Naruto had already felt the presence of these weaklings, and Naruto did not believe that they will try to attack him. As Naruto looked back, as the sand has already grabbed Naruto, as Gara roar, sand coffin, as Gara clenched his hand ready to see blood, but Naruto simply looked towards Gara with an amused expression on his face and some annoyance in his eyes. He was this close to get the power which he always desired for himself, and this pesky human has arrived to disturb him. As Naruto looked towards Gara with a bit of anger, alright, enough of this. As Naruto released a bit of his aura and the sand was sent away flying. As Naruto looked towards Gara, as Gara said, "Mother wants your blood." After that, Gaara's eyes changed as half of his body has already transformed into Shikaku, while inside of the seal, Shikaku was in utter panic. This guy, how could he have evolved his power this much? No, no, he has to kill him now. If he were to regain his full power, he and his siblings would not be safe. Their father is already dead, and they would not be able to stop this guy. Gara killed him as Shikaku was pumping more and more of his chakra inside of Gara, as Gara has already transformed into the initial state of the Biju transformation, while on the other hand Temari and Kankuro were in utter shock. They could not believe it, why Gara was doing something like this. They do not even know who this guy was. As Kankuro spoke up, "Wait, he looks like the Hokage." As Temari's eyes widened, "No, they cannot attack the son of the Hokage, even though this is the Chunin exam, but there are some unspoken understanding between the other cages. If you were to kill the son of a cage today, then tomorrow your son of the cage would also die, and they cannot allow Gara to do something like this. But Gara has already transformed into the initial stage of the Biju transformation, and they do not have the power to stop him. While on the other hand, Naruto looked towards Gara, and now Naruto was a bit angry. These people were simply nuisances, but then Naruto felt it. It seemed that this guy was the Jinchuriki of the One Tail. Naruto still remembered that pesky sand guy, even though Naruto had taken most of his chakra, but it was not that much compared to the Nine Tails. As Naruto simply laughed at that, as Naruto aura suddenly changed. As pink and black energy started to surround Naruto. Naruto has never used his true power in the shinobi world. It has been long time. Only when he was fighting against the Sage of the Sixth Path, he had used his full power, and now it is time for the shinobi world to finally realize their new master. As Naruto smirked, as the black and pink aura suddenly surrounded him, his whole body turned pitch black, and only pink was present from place to place as Naruto's eyes also changed color as Naruto looked toward the farm of Shikaku as Naruto moved like a blur. Within seconds, Gaara was sent flying so hard that the sand shattered as well as the bones inside of Gaara as Gaara let out a scream of pure pain and agony as Naruto started to walk past Kankuro and Temari. They wanted to move, they wanted to attack Naruto, they wanted to protect their brother, and they wanted to take their only Jinchuriki off the village and run away from there, but their bodies refused to listen. Fear, overwhelming fear surrounding them. The whole aura in the whole of Konoha changed within the council meeting as all the five Kages were talking to each other, giving jabs to each other, especially Minato, who was having a hard time as the third wheel, third Kage, was sitting in the same room as the other Kages. This was not the meeting of five Kages, it was obviously the meeting of six Kages, as Minato was being sidelined by the third Kage, but suddenly they could feel it. The air in Konoha has changed as all the Kages, their instincts were screaming at them that there was something dangerous as Minato moved like a flash as he appeared outside of the room. The sky in Konoha was changing. This energy, what is this? As Minato felt it, it was similar to that night. All the other cages could feel it as well. This was the same feeling they had when the graves of their ancestors simply disappeared as all of them were now angry and they were confused at the same time as all of them were now looking towards the third Hokage as well as Minato as third Hokage was a bit panicking now. He just wanted to be here to show his presence and to tell to the whole of the shinobi world that he, Third Hokage, still have a lot of power and he was the one making most of the decisions today and now they were now looking towards him. It was obvious that the other Kages think that Konoha was behind the phenomena of their ancestors disappearing and now they were looking towards the third Hokage with suspicion and Minato was also getting some of the glares but Minato ignored it. He could feel this presence. What is going on here? While in the forest of death, Naruto was truly angry today. He was about to have his prize, but because of these pesky beings, he was now being disturbed. As Naruto moved once again, he was upon the Gaara as Naruto grabbed him by the head and slammed him into the ground and started to rub him all over the ground as Gaara let out a scream of pure pain and agony. The sand on his face and body has already disappeared as Naruto threw him so hard as Gaara slammed through several trees and slammed into a huge rock, shattering it apart. As Naruto was upon Gaara within seconds, as Naruto grabbed him by the neck. Now, you damn raccoon, how dare you disturb me? It seems that the lesson I gave you all those years ago is not enough. As inside of the seal, as Shikaku was truly trembling now, he was truly regretting it. Why did he interfere? It seemed that this guy has already regained his powers and memories, and now things are truly out of hand. As Naruto simply scoffed towards Gaara, as Naruto simply slammed his hand into the seal, grabbing Shikaku by the hands and pulled him outside of the seal as Gaara let out a scream of pure pain and agony as Naruto has already grabbed the chakra inside of Gaara and Naruto simply absorbed all the power of Shikaku as Shikaku let out a scream of pure pain and agony, but Naruto simply crushed his consciousness. There was no need for consciousness inside chakra. It was just chakra as Naruto simply absorbed the power and just like he remembered, it was not much to begin with as Naruto threw the dead body of Gaara away. While on the other hand, Temari and Kankuro, after some time, they have came to their senses and rushed to find their brother and to protect him. But it was too late. Gaara was dead as Temari let out a scream of anger, and pain as she rushed towards Naruto. Die! But it was a bit late. Naruto was angry now. He just wanted to get to the ceiling place and absorb the power of Beast Monarch. He do not have time for such things. As Naruto once again disappeared and appeared in front of Temari and Kankuro, both of his in his hands. He has already grabbed both of them by their necks, and just like that, he simply twisted it, and a noise of bone breaking was heard, and Naruto threw the dead bodies of both Kankuro and Temari away, not even caring about it, as Naruto simply walked away as the flames appeared out of nowhere over their bodies, turning it into dust. As Naruto finally arrived, the ceiling place, as Naruto slammed his hand into the seal, as the seal started to shatter, and just like that, a beam of power slammed into the sky. The whole sky of Konoha once again changed. It was a different energy than the Shadow Monarch energy. As Naruto could feel it, the power of the Beast Monarch is spreading. As Naruto scoffed, it seemed that this seal was already broken, and it must be the reason of the presence of the beast monarch that all the animals in the forest of death had evolved. But it doesn't matter, as Naruto closes his eyes and entered into the ceiling area, the core of the seal. And Naruto started to absorb his powers. And now all the Kages are panicking. This was the future of their respective villages that has entered into Chunin exam. Even the candidates for the next or the future Kazekage, the future Raikage and Tsuchikage and Hokage are present there, while on the other hand, Mate Rumi had a small smile on her face. She do not care about these things after all. She was the subject of her lord Naruto, and she do not care about the shinobi world. While on the other hand, Naruto let out a laugh, a maniac laugh. He could feel it. His powers, they are evolving. All the powers, the Shadow Monarch power, the Dragon Monarch power, the Monarch of Death, the Monarch of Frost, and finally the Beast Monarch, and all the other small monarchs which Naruto has absorbed. He could tell their source was one, and Naruto's power had truly become one with it. As the aura in the sky changed, this was not only felt in Konoha, no, all across the shinobi world, while in the far land of the Pure Land, two eyes were snapped open, and now they were looking in the direction of the shinobi world in utter horror. He could already tell that the Shadow Monarch somehow has been revived, but he was hoping that it was just a reincarnation like his previous sons, and it was something like that. That was the reason he has increased the power and the potential of these generations, Ashura and Indra, but he was hoping that they would be able to stop him before he regained his power. But this power, no, it was not only the Shadow Monarch's power. This was the power of all the monarchs, and finally the Beast Monarch power has merged with it. It has evolved into something different, something even beyond the power of all the monarchs. And now Hagoromo Utsuki, the so-called the sage of the sixth path of the shinobi world, was scared. And he was truly scared now. While on the other hand, as Hagoromo started to think that it was time for him to call for his brother Hamura, that to work together to defeat this guy once again, otherwise the whole of the shinobi world will truly be in ruins. As Naruto, the aura finally calmed down. As Naruto looked towards his hand, he could feel it. A almost golden aura has surrounded Naruto's body, and Naruto could feel it. His powers has truly evolved. If the power of the other monarchs has increased his own power, and he had gained other abilities, but after absorbing the last monarch, his power has become have evolved into something new, something different. As Naruto simply smirked at that, as he looked into the sky, as Naruto opened his hand. Hagoromo, Hamura, you damn woman, why don't you show yourselves now, huh? And let's see if you damn parasites of the Ususuki clan rule this world, or we, the monarchs. As Naruto simply burst into laughter, as Naruto simply disappeared from place. It was time for him to end this stupid game. After all, he has gained everything, but he came here far. The only thing that is left to do was to have a bit of fun and finally start his last plan. As Naruto moved across the forest of death, as he appeared in front of Fu, the Jinchuriki of the seven tails, as Naruto grabbed her by the neck And before Fu could say anything, as not to slam his hand into her seal, and just like that, he had already grabbed the chakra of the Seven Tails. As the Seven Tail was in utter shock, she did not understand what was going on here. But before she can think anything, her consciousness was destroyed, as not to absorb the chakra of the Seven Tails, and once again, Naruto moved, but it seemed that the two-tailed Jinchuriki has already entered into the tower as Naruto simply shook his head. It seemed that the Kumo is not wasting time, but it doesn't matter. He will always get the opportunity to get the two tails and the eight tails at the same time. It's not to simply smirk at that. And after that, Naruto once again moved with incredible speed. He had already gotten all the scrolls which he had wanted, and some of the pesky shinobis who were trying to interfere with him, but Naruto simply get rid of them and finally arrived in the tower. After some time, he had already summoned his other two companions, and afterward, he started to wait. After some time, the other Kages finally arrived. It seemed that it was time for the next phase of the Chunin exam, but it seemed that too many people had graduated. Well, it was to be expected. Most of the Kages already knew that most of the people would be able to graduate and they would have to have a preliminary exam. But when the Kazekage looked towards the direction of the sand village, he was hoping to see his favorite two children, Temari and Kankuro, and the weapon of sand village. But to his utter shock, neither of them were here, as now the fourth Kazekage was in utter shock. He could not believe his eyes as he looked towards the Hokage in anger, specifically toward the third Hokage. As third Hokage also realized that the fourth Kazekage was glaring towards him. He was a bit confused, but then he looked in the direction of the sand village and he also started to sweat hard. And now he was regretting showing his face. He just wanted to show off. And now all these people were glaring towards him, and Minato was spared all the things. Minato also noticed that he was a bit smug about the situation of the third Hokage, but he also realized that third Hokage was simply showing off, but he was the Hokage. And if things will really go off way, they will definitely put all the blame on him, and they will not have any blame whatsoever. After all, that was the situation in Konoha. The Elder Council simply had too much power, specifically the third Hokage refused to let go of power, and making Minato's situation pretty bad, as Minato also looked toward the direction of the sand village. He was confused. After all, he already know about everything, all the people who are participating, specifically the Seven-tailed Jinchuriki Fu was also absent, as Minato was also now panicking a little bit. Two of the Jinchurikis were not present, even though they can say that they did not pass the second part. But how is that even possible? Even he, the Hokage, would not believe such a stupid thing. Who has the power to stop two of the Jinchuriki, specifically that Gara guy? He has already become a elite Jonin, and if we were to unleash the power of the Biju, then he is a cage level shinobi. And now they have not passed, as Minato gave a signal to Ambu, who, also realizing the situation, rushed in the direction of the village. As Minato looked towards the Kazekage, who was glaring towards the third and the fourth Hokage. Do not worry, Kazekage. They must have met with some accident. Do not worry, they will be alright. I have already sent my Ambu to look for them. As Kazekage scoffed at that, Hokage, you have gone too far. I know the power of Gara. If you were to be stopped, then it must be your Ambu or your shinobi. How dare you to rig the Chunin exam so obviously, as Minato created his state at that. After all, he was the Hokage. He knew that he didn't know such thing, but Minato had an idea as he looked towards the third Hokage with suspicious look. As third Hokage also realized that Minato was now suspicious of him, as third Hokage swore in his mind, Minato, as he gave a look to Minato, a bit angry that this was not the time, as Minato also realized that Tadokage would not do such a stupid thing. But then, suddenly, one name came to both of their mind, Danzo. As while on the other hand, Danzo, who was sipping tea, suddenly sneezed. What is going on here? Who is cursing me? As Danzo thought, suddenly a premonition came to his mind as if something was falling from the sky to his head. But Danzo simply shook his head. No, he was simply having some tea, even though he has made things difficult for Minato. Hopefully, Minato will not follow the example of the third Hokage and put some pot on his head once again. No, that was not possible, as Danzo simply shook his head and decided to take another sip of the tea once again. While on the other hand, Ambu were now getting a bit frantic. They were searching for the missing Jinchuriki of Takigakure as well as the one-tailed Jinchuriki and the children of the Kasekage. And now they were truly in utter shock. But finally they arrived to a location where they saw that there was a huge, gigantic pit there. As this was the location of the seal where seal was destroyed and everything was flattened here. But because it was the center of the forest of that, not many people were able to enter to this location. Even most of the Ambu had difficulty entering here. But because of the absence of the power of the beast monarch, most of the beasts that were present in the forest of death had become more subdued and they were able to arrive there. They were only able to find some blood stain of the Jinchuriki of the one tail, as there was still leftover chakra of the one tail inside of this blood. And now they were truly panicking. They had already found the three burnt body away as well as the dead body of the seven-tailed Jinchuriki Fu as they looked towards each other, and all of them had one thought in their mind: damn it. As while on the other hand, Naruto has arrived in the preliminary exam as Minato looked towards all of them as he finally stood up, even though the other Kages were suspicious of Minato and the third Kage, but they do not care about it. The seven-tailed Jinchuriki belonged to the Takigakure and it had little to do with them, while on the other hand, the Sand Village is already the weakest. They say that Gara is a Jonin level shinobi, but who knows what his true level is. He's only the Jinchuriki of the weakest Bijus, and they do not care about it. They were simply suspicious of Konoha playing tricks on them. It seemed that this was the plan of that Minato and that suspicious old man, Third Hokage. Third Hokage was truly regretting now putting his nose where it didn't belong, and now he was in the crossfire of the whole situation. If he knew something like this would happen, he would have never arrived here to show his face, but now it was a bit too late for that. As Minato finally gave a small speech, even though he was really worried about many situations now. His firstborn situation and now two Jinchurikis disappearing as well as the other two are the children of fourth Kazekage. If this situation is not handled well, then a new war will definitely begin. As Minato sighed inwardly, but the preliminary exams has to begin. As Menma, it was time for Menma to participate in the Shonin exam as Menma finally landed in the ground as he released a bit of his chakra. All the other Kages are also present in the preliminary exam. So they were now looking towards Menma and most of them had have, you can say, a bit of suspicion in their eyes. This was the Jinchuriki and the son of the Hokage. They could already feel the chakra level of this boy, which has already reached the level of a Kage. As they look towards each other, as Tsuchikage and Raikage look towards each other, while on the other hand, Mate Rumi had a small smile on her face, while on the other hand, Minato had a proud smile on his face. Well, in all this situation, at least there is a silver lining, as Minato thought in his mind, as after some time, it was time for the other villages to give their champion, and it was none other than the two-tailed Jinchuriki, Yujito, as Yujito entered into the training ground, as Yujito looked towards Menma with a smirk on her face. The power of the nine tails. Let's see that who truly reigns supreme between the two-tail and the nine-tail. As she smirked at that, as her eyes changed, the two-tail inside of her spoke up. This kid is powerful. Yujito, you should not underestimate him. I can tell that he already had the grasp of most of the chakra of the nine tails, so you should be careful. I am not a match for the nine tail. Do not anger him. As Yujito simply nodded at that, she was just trying to provoke Menma, not provoke Nine Tails, otherwise both of them would die miserable death. As Menma simply smirked at that. Well then, bring it on. As Yujito smirked at that, and just like that, she disappeared from the place. Her eyes has already changed. The power of the two-tail was flowing in her veins as she rushed towards Menma and tried to claw the head of the face of Menma. But Menma simply smiled as he moved with a blinding speed as he grabbed both of the hands of Yujito in utter shock, as Yujito was in utter shock, while on the other hand, the Raikage's eyes narrowed that speed as he looked towards Minato, who had a proud smile on his face. as Menma threw Jujito away with such blinding speed and power that Jujito wasn't able to keep up as Jujito slammed into the wall. But before she could get to attention, two shadow clones appeared in front of her. Both of them had a single Rasengan in the center of them. The gigantic Rasengan slammed into her gut as Jujito let out a scream of pain as the Rasengan exploded along with the shadow clones as Menma was smiling there as Jujito grated her teeth. Alright, I must say that you're stronger than I thought, but it doesn't matter. Her wounds were already being healed by the two tails. She was almost a perfect Jinchuriki. It was only because her body cannot contain the full power of the two tails that she was in such situation. Alright, enough. After that, two tails appeared beside her. This was the initial stage of her two tail form. She can upgrade it, but she will definitely lose control. So this was the limit. She can use the power of the two tail as she screamed and release a gigantic fireball towards Menma as Menma sighed and slammed his hand together as a huge water wall appeared in front of Menma as Menma made few more hand signs and a water dragon appeared from the same fire which was now boiling as the water dragon rushed toward the direction of Jujito was about to run, but suddenly several kunai surrounded her, and all at the end of each kunai, they were sealing symbols as Jujito's eyes widened. Before she can say anything, the seal activated as Jujito let out a scream, as all her two-tailed chakra was being suppressed as Jujito's eyes widened. She cannot use the power of the two tails, and just like that, the water dragon engulfed her as she screamed. The boiling water burnt her skin and within seconds, Menma released the jutsu as Jujito was burnt all over the place as she was already unconscious, as Menma simply gave a smirk at that and started to walk away. While walking away, as he looked towards his so-called older brother and gave him a provocative look, as most of the people were shocked of the power of Menma. In all of this fight, Menma did not even move from the location where he was standing initially, and he was able to defeat the two-day Jinchuriki like it was nothing, as both the Tsuchikage as well as the Raikage were in utter shock. This ease of defeating a Jinchuriki without even using the power of the nine tails. It seemed that they have underestimated this son of the Kage, of the Hokage, as Minato had a proud smile on his face. This was the training he had given so many years for Menma. Finally, it was time. As the matches go on, as Mito also showed her power, even though it was clear to everyone that Mito was not as powerful as Menma, but she was able to defeat her opponent, Omue, from the Kumo village like it was nothing, as well as Raikage was a bit angry about it. Prize Two of his prize shinobis were defeated like nothing, and he was pretty angry about the situation, while on the other hand, Kazekage did not care about it. Only few Janis from the sand village were able to pass, while his prize was nowhere to be found. He had a bad feeling about it. He had already given a signal to his bodyguard to search for Gara and his other two children secretly. He cannot stand here and wait and watch this whole matches. It was a mockery to him. If Konoha wants a war, he will definitely accompany them to the end. He do not believe that the sand village could be bullied like this. And finally, it was time for the final match. The board finally showed Uzumaki Naruto versus Rock Lee. And when this arrived, most of the people were surprised. After all, Naruto Uzumaki was not exactly a common name. Well, most of the clan heads knew that there was a firstborn son of the Hokage, but many younger generation, honestly, in the beginning did not care about Naruto, but after time they simply forgot that the Hokage even had another son, as they simply looked towards each other a bit confused, while on the other hand Mito gave a small explanation while most of them were shocked, but then they looked towards Naruto in utter contempt. After all, he was not trained by the Hokage, so how powerful he could be. While on the other hand, they have seen the power of Rock Lee. Well, he did not knew the ninjutsu or genjutsu, but his taijutsu was truly monstrous. Even Menma would have trouble keeping up with him in taijutsu. So that was that, as Menma gave a look to Naruto, telling him that he better win this, otherwise there would be no opportunity for him to become an opponent for him. Naruto simply ignored Menma. Naruto could already feel that his power, even though it has evolved, but it was evolving even further, especially after absorbing the power of other to be used. Something new started to appear in Naruto's body, and Naruto's plan, even for the future, started to change with these new changes. As Naruto simply smirked at that, as Naruto entered into the training ground, it was time for him to test this body of his, how powerful it has truly gotten. He could use ninjutsu, he can use the genjutsu, but honestly, he do not care to use these pesky techniques. His techniques are more powerful, more dangerous. But this was just a fun match. As Naruto finally arrived, as Rock Lee said, Yush, it is time for me to show my will of fire and the fervor of the youth. After saying that, he jumped into center of the ring. With that, a small crater appeared where he landed as Rock Lee gave a thumbs up to Naruto as Naruto gave him a small smile as well. I heard that you cannot use the ninjutsu, genjutsu, or other jutsu. You're only good at taijutsu. Well then, I will give you a handicap. Why don't we use only taijutsu and see who between you and I are more supreme? As Rock Lee was surprised to hear that, but then his eyes shined. Youth. Alright, it is time for a youthful match. As while on the other hand, most of the people were thinking that Naruto was just stupid. This guy was obviously a taijutsu user. He should use genjutsu or some other technique to simply defeat him as soon as possible. And Naruto simply looked towards Lee as Lee simply nodded. Alright then, here I begin. While on the other hand, in the other side, Kushina was looking towards Naruto nervously. She believes that Naruto is powerful, but she believes that she and Minato and Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi had trained Menma and Mito to become powerful, even though Mito is not as powerful as Menma, but both of them are definitely Jonin level. And now, Naruto challenging them, but she was also happy if Naruto were to be defeated, he will realize how powerful he can get with the training given by her, and he will definitely return. But if Naruto were to be defeated by Lei, and he would definitely not return back, and she cannot allow that, and now she was panicking a little bit. While on the other hand, Minato was also a bit nervous about the situation. While on the other hand, Lee spoke up, alright, let's begin. After saying that, he disappeared and appeared in front of Naruto and disappeared once again as Lee was flashing all over the place to show his speed as most of the Jonin that were present there were in utter shock. This kind of speed was already reaching the level of an elite Jonin, while on the other hand, Guy gave a thumbs up at that. Lee showed them youth. After saying that, Lee appeared in front of Naruto as he threw his punch ready to end this battle and show the might of the Hidden Leaf village. But to his surprise, Naruto casually moved his hand and grabbed the punch of Lee like it was nothing as Lee eyes widened as he removed his hand from Naruto's palm as Naruto did not stop him as Lee once again disappeared and moved aside. It seemed that you have a pretty good taijutsu. It seems that you're also pretty youthful. Well then, I will stop holding back as Lee jumped into the air on top of the statue and released his weights. And just like that, his speed finally reaches the level of an elite Jonin as Lee disappeared and appeared in front of Naruto. This time, his punch was even powerful, but to the surprise of most of the people, Naruto once again grabbed the arm of Lee like it was nothing. As Naruto had a disappointed look on his face. If this is all, then I must say that I will end. As Lee's eyes widened at that as he greeted his state, while on the other hand, Gaia's eyes narrowed at that Lee was already using the power of elite Jonin. As Guy finally spoke up, Lee, use that. As Lee's eyes widened at that, Guy could already tell that Naruto did not use his full speed or power. If Lee were not to use that, then this battle would truly be decided. While on the other hand, Kushina was happy and as well as a bit worried at the same time. Naruto has shown speed and power far beyond that she had previously believed. He was able to stop the attacks of Lee like if it was nothing, and Lee was already on the level of an elite Jonin in Taijutsu and skill pure, and now he was being stopped so easily. As she looked towards Minato, who was also a bit nervous at this point. As Lee said, alright Naruto-kun, I must admit that you're rather youthful, so allow me to show you my full power. After saying that, Lee activated the first, second, third, and finally the fourth gate as Lee once again moved to show his youthful fervor. Konoha whirlwind as Lee released his kick, but to his surprise, Naruto also casually moved his leg as both of the legs clashed, and to the shock and of the most people, Lee was sent flying. Yes, most of the people were in utter shock as Lee gritted his teeth and came out of the crater which he made in the wall. As Lee was in utter shock as he looked towards Guy, who was also pretty shocked to see that even the fourth level of the gate opening was not powerful enough to stop Naruto. As Naruto smirk, I can feel that you have more power. Well, if you do not unleash that, I can only help you to do so. As Naruto disappeared, as the ground shattered from the place where he was standing before as Naruto was upon Lee. Within seconds, as Naruto simply slammed his leg into the face of Lee, sending him flying into the air as Naruto appeared above him and once again slammed him into the ground, making a gigantic crater there as Lee let out a scream of pain as Naruto simply jumped from the air on top of Lee's chest as the whole ground shattered after Naruto's landing as Naruto grabbed Lee by the hair and pulled him to face level. You think that I have time to give you the time to power up? Well, you're truly mistaken. You should have unleashed your full power. Now you do not even have the opportunity. As Naruto simply slapped Lee on the face and threw him into another wall. As Guy spoke up, Lee now. As Lee gritted his teeth, he was already injured, but he had to do it. Fifth gate, sixth gate, open. With that, Lee gritted his teeth finally as he let out a scream of pain and rushed towards the direction. This was his full power. He do not have the power to open the 7th gate. If he were to try it, he will be unconscious within seconds, injuring his body. As Naruto simply smirked at that, as Naruto once again moved, as both of their fists collided, as a shockwave appeared from the center of it, as Lee once again was sent flying into the same crater from where he came from. As Lee let out a scream of pain as Naruto was in front of him, as Naruto moved like a blur, several punches landed all over the body of Lee, as Lee let out a scream of pain as the whole wall finally caved in, as Naruto threw Lee into the other side of the stadium, as Lee's body surrounded by a green aura was finally dimming down as Naruto slammed his foot on the head of Lee, slamming it into the ground, making a shockwave and making another crater into the ground as Lee was finally unconscious as Naruto simply scoffed at that. It seemed that you are truly a disappointment as Naruto looked towards Guy who wanted to enter into the stadium. Maybe in the future your sensei would be more fun. With that, Naruto simply smirked at that and disappeared from the ground. And finally, Proctor came out of his shock and finally explained that Naruto Uzumaki has won. There was dead silence in the whole room, even though the Raikage and Tsuchikage did not know much about the firstborn of the Hokage. After all, their attention was always on the prince and princess of Konoha. But now they looked towards each other in utter shock. Even Kazekage was shocked with the brutality and things like that. He had little information about his own son, and now three children of Hokage has already passed and shown overwhelming power. Resentment started to came to his heart as he glared towards Minato. Why? Why is that? All three of his children were not able to pass the exam, but all three of Minato's children were able to dominate this exam. Why? Is it because his village is the weakest? No, he will never ever accept that. He will never accept the supremacy of Konoha. Damn it, he will bring down Konoha and avenge this humiliation as Kazekage was in pure anger and resentment, while on the other hand Kushina and Minato were happy as well, also looked towards each other. It seemed that Naruto was not as weak as they previously thought, as they looked towards Menma, who also had a serious focus on his face, as after all, Menma was powerful, he will admit to that first person, but that kind of speed and power, Lee already was reaching the level of a Kage after unleashing the sixth gate, while not completely to that, but he was infinitely closer to that level of speed and power, and now he was so easily defeated. And how powerful are you, Naruto? As Menma thought inwardly, while on the other hand, Mito gritted her teeth at that. She admitted that Menma was stronger than her. He was her brother, and she can admit to that. But Naruto becoming stronger than her, she will never ever accept that. After all, why? Why is that? She had all the training, all the love. And how could Naruto ever be stronger than her? It was only taijutsu. He will definitely not know as much jutsu as she has. She still have the sealing jutsu of her mother, as well as the taijutsu of her godmother, and the healing jutsu, as well as the chains of her mother. She will defeat him, and she will use the power of the Rasengan and all the techniques she has learned over the year. She will never admit defeat in front of Naruto, but Naruto did not even think about Menma and Mito. He has grander plans and greater ambitions. As Naruto looked towards his hand, soon he could feel his power solidifying. Soon enough, he will have the final form of his power and he will rule this shinobi world. No, not only this world, all across the multiverse. He will become the emperor of the universe. As Naruto smirk at that. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna end this part here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. For the next part, the like goal is gonna be 100 likes and 50 comments. Do that, and I shall upload the next part as soon as possible. So yeah, guys, see you soon. Peace.